everyone, I'm Alla. I'm from Hebrew University, and I'm here to talk about pilgrimages. And I want us to start with a short video. It's nice to see birds. When I look at such videos, it reminds me of something different connected to people. How people sometimes gather in groups and move somewhere. Most of all, this reminds me of pilgrimages. Pilgrimages are journeys that are made with some purpose to find a spiritual or a religious destination. Pilgrimage could be made once upon a life, but more often people try to make pilgrimages regularly, like these birds. Jewish people are not an exception. Although most Jewish shrines are located in the land of Israel, especially in Jerusalem, there are places in Eastern Europe that attract more and more visitors. So today I would like to talk about those places, especially located in Ukraine and Poland. Yes, so sometimes my slides fly like those birds, but we will keep them. So here you could see many places, like dozens of places, that are connected to shrines of different righteous people. These are the places that attract visitors. And here on this slide, you could see circles that tell you about how many pilgrims visit those places once upon a time. The biggest circle to the right, to the left here, is about Uman, Ukraine, which happens to be also my native town. There are around 40 or even 50,000 pilgrims visiting it at one moment. On the different side of the slide, you could see another place marked, which is called Leżajsk in Poland. And this is the second biggest place of interest of different pilgrims. Up to 5,000 people tend to visit it upon one time. So, initially, those pilgrimages started with some, very limited group of people. They were called, or they are still called, Hasidim. These people belong to various streams that are called ultra-Orthodox. And most of such pilgrimages were done by men and also ultra-Orthodox men. However, with time, the situation started to change. More and more diverse people started to come here. In 2007, it was still, okay, my birds, it was still a rarity to find a woman. On this picture, you could see only one person, or you could see two people, but one woman hiding beyond the fence, wearing very traditional garments, praying. Also, she is in the background. You could see also a man, also praying, but on the forefront. This picture was taken by my good acquaintance called Kitra, who also came to Uman to explore the site of pilgrimage as a young female. In order to do this, she also wore some, let's say, non-gendered clothing. So, at that time, it was still a rarity to see a woman there. However, invitations for women are quite common nowadays. Now you may find, even if you are interested, for instance, after my presentation, you could also Google, you could find numerous advertisements to visit places connected to different righteous people graves by women. For instance, here you could see an invitation to visit Poland. By the way, this year, if you want, you may apply, with a big emphasis also on Leżajsk that was mentioned. Or on the other side, you could find an invitation to visit Ukraine, also with the emphasis on this Uman place that was also mentioned here. So both advertisements are made only for women. However, media tends not to notice this. It's so maybe interesting for media to focus on something, very specific, problematic, scandal, wow. So we could find that there are different issues also connected with the pilgrimages. And those issues are, let's say, they make this pilgrimage a very problematic issue connected with prostitution, not being able to make a divorce or whatever. Or you could find usually some pictures connected to pilgrimages, also only male, very religious men, doing something. So it makes, it makes it interesting. But does it describe the whole situation? Does it describe the whole diversity? The whole, let's say, picture of pilgrimage? I doubt so. So I decided to take my research, to take courage, to ask a big question. How does women's presence reinforce or challenge traditional gender order during the pilgrimage? And what does this presence bring to the perception of pilgrimage from outside? In order to do this, I tried to think which methods I could use. We saw already that media representation is biased. Yeah? It may be true, but it covers some aspect of the reality. So we should rely on something different. Here you could see two entrances to the pilgrimage shrines that I just mentioned. I took those pictures by myself this year. And here you could see that there are two types of entrances, for men and for women. And then if we look at these pictures, I have marked them, yeah? For instance, when we speak about Uman, the place for men is like bigger, and the place for women is like, somewhere in the background, which reminds us also this picture with lonely lady praying, yeah, by the fence. When we look at Lezhaysk, with the bright, you could see also sky, the places look more equal, like entrances for men and entrances for women. Okay, so it could say us something. But what can it say to us? So in order to understand what is written in this space, yeah, to take photos, to observe is not enough. But what could be better? So we need to maybe read, we need to understand what people can do, what people cannot do, what is advised to do, what is not advised at the places of pilgrimage, or maybe also at some other places. So here you could see a street warning in Uman. I took this picture in February this year. It is written like, more or less, I will translate it briefly, like, this place is holy, so don't break the holiness of this place, and please buy things only from men. Basically, it's a message for male pilgrims not to interact with local women. And it could give us a hint, yeah, what could be written here. Or another example. This is a set of guidelines made both from men's side and from women's side. What to do when you don't know what to do. You came to this shrine and you are here for the first time. You don't know what to do. It is written, please do this, stand here, side this, do this, do this. So this is a very detailed instruction provided in several languages. Here, for instance, we could see like 2 of them, but there are many more. What to do? So it makes you feel more comfortable. However, you could look, you could observe, you could read, but still, do women look at this? I mean, women pilgrims, do they feel offended by this? Maybe they have their own set of rules, what they want to do at the shrine, not to listen to this. Maybe they don't notice such signs because it's not for them. Also, it's written in Hebrew, so it's like clear. So for this, we need interactions with women. We need making interviews. So what do I do? Except for like visiting those places, documenting everything I see on my way, I contact with women, both at pilgrimage sites and also in between the trips, mostly in Israel. So doing these interviews sheds a lot of light on what women do, what they wanted to do, what they planned to do, and what happened to them. How they read different messages intended to them, or maybe they constructed their own. This picture is an interesting evidence because this is the place where pilgrims pray. This is the closest place to the shrine for women. And it's not, to be honest, acceptable to take photos. However, I was asked by some pilgrim who looked in a very traditional view. She asked me, please, can you take a photo of me? I did it, and I thought, oh, a good occasion for me to do the same, yeah? So we kind of a little bit broke the rules, but still we stayed there as women, praying, whatever. So, to sum up, coming back to our initial questions. Does the presence of women challenge or reinforce the existing order during the pilgrimage, and what does it give to us? I see it as a continuum, like between keeping the order, like everything should be stable, or changing the order. Something is being changed, but what and how? So, like, to remember this question, so how does women's presence reinforce and challenge this order? And my idea during my first field results, because I'm in the process still, that this doesn't change the order. Although by form, by structure, it could seem something different, it could bring something new, but this form doesn't change the context. So I would say that it's welcoming diversity. You are not religious, come here. You are interested, come here, but please be aware that we would follow the rules that were somehow made before us. So I call it welcoming diversity in Orthodox style. And in my opinion, this mostly keeps the order than challenges it. However, I'm only in the beginning of my research, so it's only field in progress. So I welcome you to stay tuned, and I hope to be able to share my research results soon. And at this moment, I'm very grateful to Azrieli Foundation and to all of you for listening to me and for giving me this opportunity to talk about my research. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Does this work? Yeah. Thank you, Alla. I'm Rochelle from the Azrieli Foundation. Very interesting talk and very interesting research. And we're talking about diversity. So my question is, I know you're looking at women, but have you looked at other diverse groups that have come to Uman or Lezhensk in recent years? And you can see it in the pictures and the photos of the men as well. They don't dress in traditional Hasidic garb. And how does that relate or correlate or not with what you're doing?
Thank you so much. Yes, this is a topic which I'm interested in for many years, and I also observed things by myself, but also I take considerations also by my colleagues, but by whatever. There are tremendous changes in general in interest to pilgrimage. So what was called once, and I also called it Hasidic pilgrimage, is not Hasidic pilgrimage. So it's pilgrimage to the Hasidic sites, but the pilgrimage is diverse. Speaking about men, I would say that it's more initially, and even until today, it's more acceptable if you are a man to go there. So you may represent any group you may, especially it's connected to Uman. For several reasons, let's be short and precise. The person who died and was buried in Uman was the leader of the movement, and after his death, no other leader appeared. It means that in order to follow this movement, you don't need separate documents or whatever. So you are more let's say, welcome. So in such places like Uman, more and more people from backgrounds that are not connected and not related to religion come. This is less the situation in Lezhaisk or in Lizhensk, as they say. This is also less situation like in more homogeneous places, but this is like an overall situation that more and more people are coming. But still, for me, it was a very interesting fact that media and like public opinion, like they try not to notice it, or maybe they focus on something which is like, you know, something very special and interesting, at least for people from outside. Thank you.
Hi, Alla. So I'm Yael from Bar Ilan. Fascinating talk, thank you. We've spoken about this previously a little bit. So I have family members, both from my maternal side and paternal side, who go on these pilgrimages. So from my father's side, who are not connected to Uman at all, they come from the Gur Hasidic dynasty, and yet my grandfather's, who was the Hasid before the Holocaust, his grandson goes to Uman religiously. He is not Hasidic at all and has no connection to Uman. And in the family, it's caused a great rift because his wife, with her 6 children, they're happily married, doesn't understand what he feels towards going there. So I'm wondering if you can talk maybe a little bit about that. And then as a part 2, from my maternal side, they were from the Hasidut of Munkac, Hungarian like Hasidic dynasty before the Holocaust, and they, with their wives, go from Brooklyn every year. But the women are super into it, and it's like a very fun vacation for them. So if you think about what that means, and if like Uman is different in terms of gender than other locations.
Thank you so much, Yael. Yeah, this is a very deep question, or a very deep set of questions on your side. I will try to be also very quick, but later on we could also discuss it. So Uman is very specific, yes. It's very specific for several reasons, and I just mentioned one of the reasons, that the person who is the leader of the core of the movement is dead for like 200 years, and like more and more followers come just because they want to reach something. But the other, let's say, reason for like traveling there could lie also in, you know, being distracted or being cut off from your regular life. So when you cut your regular like routine, you could be more focused on what is interesting, important for you, and that's why like you may go maybe to any place in the land of Israel, but it's more interesting to go to some distant place because you could feel, let's say, more connected to it, or like you could feel more related to it. This is the first. The other thing, like if you live by yourself, it's like it's connected also to every of us. We live in our bubbles. We live in our bubbles, academic bubble, whatever bubble, like bubble of chemistry scholars, biology scholars, sociology, and we could be interested in joining some other bubbles. So going to places like Uman makes you also feel connected to much diverse backgrounds. So people meet, people talk to each other, and it's a good opportunity just to speak briefly.
Yeah, hi. Very interesting phenomenon and study and perspective. During COVID, I think that the authorities try to prevent pilgrims going in, and I don't know if this is an urban legend, but I think I heard about a Hasidic pilgrim who tried to get in by disguising himself as a bear and going into the forest, but he didn't consider that people were trying to hunt him there, so then he quickly ran away. And a bit more seriously, the question is, how have things changed after COVID and the authorities also, and of course the war, right? Big, huge impact event. How has that changed the patterns that exist there, and then specifically also the authorities' attitude toward the pilgrims?
Thank you so much. Also a set of very interesting, deep questions. But I will answer this way, that yes, COVID has changed a lot, even I think in domains that we never thought. So pilgrimage was definitely, and this kind of pilgrimage was definitely impacted by COVID. However, there were like people, most of those people who wanted to reach the grave of the righteous person, like by any means, those people are, they belong like maybe to the most religious core, or let's say the most radical core maybe of the movement. For them, reaching this place is the most important thing in life. Like, it doesn't matter if there is war or whatever, I don't know, earthquake, it doesn't matter. Like, we have to be there. So this is part of the, let's say, belief. It's not about all pilgrims, but there were about 2,000 people trying to reach Ukraine in 2020 from that part of the border, from a different part of the border, and there are many crazy stories, not only that one that you mentioned, but still it describes like big wish of people to go there. It's not for everyone, as I said, like for 2,000. However, after the COVID, like in 2021, which I would mark as a year between COVID start and the start of the war, so we had like about 35,000 of people once again, and we had a maximum number of women, like about 2,000 women, which is like something that never happened. In 2022, with the war, those people who were dedicated to the pilgrimage, even during, so they continued to come, and they continue to come until today. I would say, like, in my observations, because I don't live in Ukraine now, but I visited from time to time, women tend to go there less. They are more careful. Men still go, and there are buses, full buses going from Moldova to Ukraine, you know. So it's like people come. The numbers are a little bit smaller, but still it's not something that has been like declined or whatever. Also because of, as I said, it's not because of maybe the war was not like damaging Uman, but it's just because they wish. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So I know you have more questions, but time is up. So please, you can approach Alla later, and thank you very much. It was very interesting.
Thank you.